The invitation sat on my kitchen counter like a ticking bomb. You are cordially invited to celebrate the union of Alexis and Nolan. I read those words 20 times, each repetition feeling like a knife twisting deeper into my chest. My sister and my ex-husband. The universe really does have a sick sense of humor. I'm Peyton, and 6 months ago, my biggest concern was whether to repaint my living room sage or olive green. Now, I'm standing here holding an invitation that's shattered my entire world. You need to come to dinner tonight, my mother had said on the phone this morning, her voice carrying that familiar tone of forced cheerfulness. Both girls together like old times. Old times. Before Nolan. Before the divorce. Before my sister became the other woman. The rest of dinner passed in a blur of wedding talk and forced pleasantries. As I drove home later, that note burned a hole in my pocket. A.M. The initials sparked something in my memory, a name I'd seen on some paperwork during the divorce proceedings. I pulled into my driveway and sat there, engine idling. The old Peyton would have cried herself to sleep tonight. The old Peyton would have accepted this betrayal as her lot in life. But I'm not the old Peyton anymore. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my contacts until I found the number I needed. It rang twice before a familiar voice answered. Theo, it's me. Remember when you said you knew a good private investigator? I need that number, now. You're telling me you found this in your mom's bathroom? Theo pushed his coffee aside and leaned closer to examine the note I'd found. We were sitting in our usual corner of the local cafe, away from curious ears. It has to mean something, right? I spread out several other papers on the small table. Old bank statements, tax documents, anything I'd kept from my marriage to Nolan. AM keeps showing up in these transactions, but I can't figure out who they are. Theo ran his fingers through his dark curls, a habit he'd had since college. And you're sure you want to go down this rabbit hole? Sometimes letting go is, he's marrying my sister, Theo. I cut him off, my voice sharper than intended. This isn't about letting go anymore. This is about protecting her from whatever he's planning. Okay. He held up his hands in surrender. I'll text you Manuel's number. He's the best PI I know, but he's intense. My phone buzzed with the contact. I stepped outside to make the call, pacing the sidewalk as it rang. Manuel Kelly, a gruff voice answered. Hi, I'm Peyton. Theo gave me your number. I need help investigating someone. Meet me at Harrison's Diner in an hour. Bring everything you have. He hung up before I could respond. I turned to find Theo watching me through the cafe window, concern etched on his face. Back inside, I gathered my papers. He wants to meet now. I'm coming with you, Theo said, already standing. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Because the last time you had that look in your eyes, you ended up dyeing your hair pink and buying a motorcycle. That was 10 years ago, and I'm still traumatized. Harrison's Diner was nearly empty when we arrived. Manuel was easy to spot, a compact man with sharp eyes and a laptop that had seen better days. He gestured us over without looking up from his screen. Show me what you've got, he said as we slid into the booth. I spread everything out, explaining about the note and the mysterious AM. Manuel's fingers flew across his keyboard as I talked. These transactions, he pointed to several entries on my old bank statements. They're structured to stay just under reporting limits. Classic money laundering technique. My stomach lurched. Money laundering? Your ex-husband's been busy. Manuel turned his laptop around. Look familiar? On the screen was a photo of Nolan shaking hands with a man outside an office building. The timestamp showed it was from last week. That's Andrew Morrison, Manuel said. He's been investigated twice for securities fraud, but nothing stuck. Want to guess what his initials are? AM, Theo whispered. My phone chimed. A text from Alexis. Dress shopping tomorrow? Please come. I need my big sister. I showed it to Theo, who squeezed my hand under the table. There's more, Manuel said, typing again. Your ex-husband's name is connected to a shell corporation called Vertex Enterprises. Established 3 months before your divorce, primary shareholders listed as AM Holdings. How much would it cost to dig deeper? I asked. Manuel named a figure that made me wince, but I nodded. Do it. Peyton, Theo started, but I shook my head. I've got money saved. This is worth it. As we left the diner, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Is this Peyton? A woman's voice, unfamiliar and nervous. I worked with Nolan at his old firm. There's something you should know about the offshore account. What offshore account? The one in the Caymans, under his grandmother's maiden name. I shouldn't be calling, but when I heard he was getting married again, just check the transfers from March 15th. That's all I can say. The line went dead. Theo was watching me. What was that about? I found myself driving to my childhood home that evening, muscle memory guiding me through familiar streets while my mind raced. The moment I walked in, I knew something was wrong. The dining room table was set with Mom's best china, the set she only uses for special occasions. Peyton! Alexis rushed forward, practically bouncing. Her left hand was conspicuously hidden behind her back. I'm so glad you came. What's going on? I asked, though deep down I already knew. I don't know, I said slowly, but I think we just found our first real lead. My phone chimed again. Another text from Alexis. Found the perfect place for dress shopping. Mom's coming too. Please say yes. I stared at the message, my throat tight. Tomorrow I'd have to smile and ooh and ah over wedding dresses while knowing my sister's fiancé might be involved in serious financial crimes. What are you going to do? Theo asked softly. I typed back. Wouldn't miss it. See you tomorrow. I'm going to play along, I told Theo, my voice steady. And while they're planning their perfect wedding, we're going to find out exactly what Nolan's been hiding. We? Yes, we. Unless you've got better plans for the next few months? Theo sighed dramatically. Well, I was planning to finally learn macrame, but I suppose exposing your ex-husband's potential criminal empire takes priority. As we walked to our cars, Manuel's text arrived. Found something interesting in Vertex's tax records. Meet tomorrow afternoon? The game was on. You're awfully quiet today, Mom said, arranging cookies on a plate while I sat at her kitchen counter. The same counter where I'd done my homework, shared secrets, and cried over my first breakup. Now it felt like neutral territory in a war I hadn't asked for. Just tired. The dress shopping was intense. I picked up a cookie but didn't eat it. Watching Alexis try on wedding dresses had been like experiencing an out-of-body experience, surreal and slightly nauseating. She looked beautiful in that lace one, didn't she? Mom's voice softened. You know, Nolan came by yesterday. He wanted to talk about father-daughter dance songs with your dad. The cookie crumbled in my grip. Did Dad agree to see him? No, Mom sighed, wiping invisible crumbs from the counter. He's still processing. At least someone in this family is. Peyton? Has Nolan mentioned anything about his new business ventures? I tried to keep my voice casual. Alexis said something about a new investment firm? Mom's hands stilled. Something flickered across her face. Doubt? Worry? He's been very successful lately. Bought Alexis that beautiful ring cash. Said something about a big deal with some company. Vertex, I think. My heart skipped. Vertex? Yes, that's it, though. She lowered her voice, glancing around as if the walls might have ears. I overheard him on the phone last week. He sounded angry, talking about moving money around. When I asked, he said it was just work stress, but my phone buzzed. Manuel requesting an urgent meeting. Mom, I have to go. Work thing. I stood up, kissing her cheek. Thanks for the cookies. Peyton? She caught my arm. Be careful, sweetheart. Whatever you're doing, just be careful. I froze. What makes you think I'm doing anything? Because you're my daughter, and you've got that same look you had when you were 7 and caught your sister stealing from your piggy bank. You didn't confront her. You set up a sting operation with your stuffed animals as witnesses. Despite everything, I laughed. I forgot about that. Just remember, the truth always comes out. Sometimes it's just a matter of waiting for the right moment. 20 minutes later, I walked into Manuel's office. a small space above a laundromat that smelled faintly of fabric softener. Theo was already there, looking at something on Manuel's computer. "Show her," Theo said without looking up. Manuel turned his monitor. "Meet Andrew Morrison's wife, Amanda Morrison." The photo showed an elegant woman at a charity gala. Standing next to her was Nolan, his hand on her lower back, far too intimate for a business relationship. "When was this taken?" 2 months before your divorce." The pieces started falling into place. AM wasn't just Andrew Morrison, it was Amanda too. "There's more," Manuel said, pulling up financial records. "Vertex Enterprises has been moving large sums through various accounts. The pattern suggests they're collecting investments for a non-existent fund." "A Ponzi scheme," Theo explained, seeing my confusion. "And my sister's about to marry into it." I sank into a chair. "How much money are we talking about?" Mom appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. "Sit down, honey. We're just waiting for one more person." The doorbell rang, and my stomach dropped. I heard his voice before I saw him. That smooth, confident tone that once made my knees weak. Now it just made me nauseous. Millions. Manuel's expression was grim. "And based on these transactions, they're getting ready for something big. The wedding might be a cover, a way to appear stable and trustworthy to potential investors." My phone lit up with a text from Alexis. "Nolan's planning a surprise engagement party next week. Don't tell Mom." "Perfect timing," Manuel said, reading the message over my shoulder. "Large gatherings of wealthy potential investors. We need concrete proof before then," I said. "Something undeniable." "Already working on it." Manuel pulled up another window. "Remember that offshore account tip? Found it. The transactions on March 15th were interesting. Large transfers to an account belonging to one Amanda Morrison." "The wife?" Theo leaned forward. "Why would Nolan be sending her money?" "Blackmail, maybe?" I suggested. "Or paying for silence?" My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. "Found something odd in the attic. Old papers of Nolan's from when you were married. Should I keep them?" "Tell her yes," Manuel said quickly. "Those could be important." As I typed my response, another message came through, this one from an unknown number. "Engagement party, back room of Morrison's office, 8 p.m., bring proof." "Amanda," I breathed. "It has to be." "It's a trap," Theo warned. "Or it's our chance." I looked at Manuel. "Can you get me everything you have by next week?" He nodded slowly. "It'll cost extra for the rush." "Do it." I stood up, suddenly energized. "Theo, I need you to be my +1 at an engagement party." "Wouldn't miss it." He grinned. "Should I wear my I'm with the whistleblower t-shirt?" For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. The truth was coming together, piece by piece. Now I just had to survive an engagement party long enough to expose it. "Are you sure about this?" Theo adjusted his tie as we sat in my car outside the upscale restaurant where the engagement party was being held. The manila envelope on my lap felt heavier than it should. "No," I admitted, checking my lipstick in the rearview mirror. "But we're doing it anyway." The valet took my keys, and we walked into LeBlanc, where Nolan had proposed to me 4 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. "Peyton!" Alexis rushed over, champagne in hand. "You came, and you brought Theo!" She hugged us both, the diamond ring on her finger catching the light. "Nolan's just finishing up a business call. Come meet everyone." She dragged us through the crowd of well-dressed guests. I recognized several faces from Nolan's old firm, plus a few new ones who must be Vertex investors. Andrew Morrison stood near the bar, his wife Amanda beside him in a red dress that probably cost more than my car. 8 o'clock, Amanda mouthed when our eyes met, gesturing subtly toward a hallway. "I need some air," I told Theo, patting the envelope hidden in my clutch. "Cover for me?" "Be careful," he whispered, then loudly said, "Don't forget your jacket in the car." I slipped down the hallway, following the signs to Morrison's private office. The door was unlocked. Amanda stood by the window, drinking straight from a bottle of expensive scotch. "Close the door," she said without turning around. I did. "Why help me?" "Because your sister isn't the only one being played." She turned, mascara slightly smudged. "Show me what you have." I pulled out Manuel's documents. Bank transfers, shell companies, proof of the Ponzi scheme. "But you already knew about that, didn't you?" "I knew something was wrong when Andrew started moving our personal assets offshore." She picked up the papers with manicured hands. "Then I found out about Nolan and the others." "Others? You think you were his first wife? Or that Alexis is his first affair?" She laughed bitterly. "It's their pattern. Find wealthy women, marry them, gain access to their family's money and connections, then divorce, hide the assets, and move on to the next target." My blood ran cold. "Alexis doesn't have any money. Sorry I'm late," Nolan said, stepping into the dining room. He looked exactly the same, tall, well-dressed, with that perfectly maintained stubble that had once driven me wild. His eyes met mine for a brief moment before darting away. "Now that everyone's here," Alexis practically squealed, finally bringing her left hand forward. The diamond caught the light, making me flinch. "We're engaged!" "No, but your parents do. That trust fund they set up for your father's retirement? The one that matures next month?" Amanda took another drink. "Nolan's been forging documents to gain access. The wedding is just a formality." The door opened. Nolan stood there, his charming smile firmly in place. "I thought I might find you here." "Nolan," Amanda started. "Save it." He closed the door behind him. "Peyton, crashing your sister's engagement party? That's low, even for you. Not as low as stealing from my family." I grabbed the documents from Amanda. "It's over, Nolan. I have proof of everything." "Do you?" He stepped closer. "Because all I see is my bitter ex-wife conspiring with my business partner's alcoholic spouse to ruin her own sister's happiness. Who do you think people will believe?" "I found the note," I said, "in Mom's bathroom, about the transfers with AM." Something flickered in his eyes. "One cryptic note proves nothing, but the offshore accounts do, and the forged documents, and the other wives." "You're bluffing." "Try me." I pulled out my phone. "One call to the SEC, and it all comes crashing down." He moved faster than I expected, grabbing my wrist. "You have no idea what you're dealing with." "Let her go." Theo stood in the doorway, phone raised. "I've been recording everything. One wrong move, and this goes live to every guest out there." Nolan released me, straightening his tie. "This isn't over." Actually, it is." Amanda stepped forward. "Because I've been wearing a wire for the FBI for the past month. They have everything they need." The color drained from Nolan's face. In the distance, we could hear commotion from the main room. "That would be the federal agents," Amanda said, suddenly sober. "They're probably talking to Andrew right now." Nolan bolted for the door, but Theo blocked his path. "Going somewhere?" Two FBI agents appeared behind Theo. "Mr. Nolan, we need you to come with us." As they led him away, I turned to Amanda. "Why didn't you tell me about the FBI?" "Couldn't risk it. Needed your investigation to play out naturally." She smiled sadly. "Besides, I figured you deserved your own shot at justice." We walked back to the main room together. Alexis stood in the center, tears streaming down her face as agents interviewed guests. When she saw me, her expression crumpled. "Did you know?" she whispered. "About all of this?" I handed her the envelope. "I was trying to protect you." She stared at the documents, then at me, then back at the chaos around us. "I need a drink." "I know a place," Theo said gently, "and I think both of you could use one." As we left the restaurant, I glanced back at the scene we'd created. Sometimes I realized the best revenge isn't about getting even. It's about exposing the truth, no matter how much it hurts. "He's out on bail." Theo's voice crackled through my phone speaker 3 days after the engagement party. "Manuel just called." Nolan's lawyers worked fast. I gripped my steering wheel tighter, watching Alexis's apartment building through my windshield. "Does she know?" Not yet. Where are you? Outside her place. She's been dodging my calls. Peyton, maybe give her some space. A tap on my window made me jump. Alexis stood there, arms crossed, looking like she hadn't slept in days. I hung up on Theo and got out of the car. Stalking me now? She asked. We need to talk. About how you ruined my life? Or about how you humiliated me in front of everyone I know? About how Nolan's out on bail? That got her attention. She glanced around the parking lot, suddenly nervous. Come inside. Her apartment was a mess. Empty wine bottles, wedding magazines torn to shreds, and a half-packed suitcase in the corner. The engagement ring sat on the coffee table like a discarded piece of costume jewelry. When did you know? She asked, collapsing onto her couch. About the fraud? I suspected something was wrong when I found that note, but I didn't know how deep it went until... No, she cut me off. When did you know about us? About me and Nolan? I sat across from her. Christmas, when you both lied about being out of town. She laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. You want to know the worst part? He told me you knew, said you were fine with it, that you'd moved on months ago. I believed him because I wanted to. Why him, Alexis? Of all people? The room spun. Mom was beaming. Nolan had the decency to look slightly uncomfortable. Alexis kept talking, but her words became white noise. That's wonderful, I managed to choke out, gripping my water glass so hard I thought it might shatter. We wanted you to be the first to know, Alexis said, reaching for Nolan's hand across the table. You're my sister, Pei. Your blessing means everything to me. Because he was yours, she exploded, standing up. Your perfect husband, your perfect life. Do you know what it's like being the screw-up sister? The one who can't hold down a relationship or a job? The one mom's always worried about? Is that what you think? That my life was perfect? I stood too, anger finally breaking through. He cheated on me with 3 different women before you. He emptied our joint accounts. He made me feel crazy for suspecting anything. I didn't know, she whispered, about the other women, about any of it. Because you didn't want to know. The words came out harsher than intended. My phone buzzed. A text from Manuel. Nolan spotted heading your way. Get out now. We need to leave, I said, showing her the message. I'm not going anywhere with you. Alexis, please. A knock at the door made us both freeze. Alexis, Nolan's voice. Baby, I can explain everything. Alexis moved toward the door, but I grabbed her arm. Don't. Let go of me. He's using you to get to Mom and Dad's trust fund. The wedding was just a cover. The knocking got louder. I know you're in there, both of you. We need to talk. Alexis yanked her arm free. Maybe I want to hear his side. His side? The FBI has recordings, bank statements, testimonies from other women he's scammed. What more do you need? You don't understand, she said, tears streaming down her face. I love him. No, you love who you thought he was, just like I did. The door handle jiggled. Nolan must have kept a key. I grabbed Alexis's hand. Fire escape, now! For a moment, I thought she'd refuse. Then the door started to open, and she ran with me to the window. We climbed out just as Nolan entered the apartment. Alexis, he called after us. Don't listen to her. She's trying to turn you against me. We clattered down the metal stairs, my heels making too much noise. I could hear him following. My car's around the corner, I panted. Wait. Alexis stopped suddenly. The ring. I left it inside. Seriously? It's evidence, isn't it, of the fraud? I stared at my sister, really looked at her, and for the first time in months, I saw the sharp, clever girl I grew up with. Back entrance, she said. He doesn't know about it. Through the laundry room. We doubled back, slipping through the building's service entrance. Alexis used her key to access the stairs, and we crept back up to her floor. He'll be checking the street, she whispered as we eased her apartment door open. The ring still sat on the coffee table. Alexis grabbed it, along with a stack of papers from her desk. His investment proposals. The ones he wanted me to show Dad. Footsteps thundered down the hallway. We ducked into her bedroom just as Nolan re-entered the apartment. Think, I muttered, looking around. My eyes landed on her closet, and the access panel to the neighboring unit I knew was empty. As Nolan's footsteps approached the bedroom, I pulled Alexis toward the closet. For the first time since this whole mess began, we moved in perfect sync, like when we were kids playing hide and seek. Maybe that's what we needed, to remember who we were before Nolan came between us. You girls did what? Mom's voice echoed through her kitchen as Alexis and I sat at the familiar counter, still breathless from our escape. We'd crawled through the access panel, sprinted down 3 flights of stairs, and driven straight here. We had to, Alexis said, spreading out the investment documents we'd grabbed. Look at these, Mom. The signature at the bottom. It's Dad's. But he never signed these. Mom adjusted her reading glasses, hands trembling slightly as she examined the papers. These are dated last week. Your father was in the hospital for his knee surgery then. Exactly. I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos Manuel had sent. Nolan's been forging signatures, setting up fake investment accounts. The wedding was just a way to get closer to the family money. I should have seen it, Alexis whispered. All those meetings he wanted with Dad about investment opportunities. The way he kept asking about the trust fund. The doorbell rang, making us all jump. Back door, Mom said immediately, her voice steady. Go, I'll handle this. Mom, I stood up abruptly, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. Excuse me, bathroom. I barely made it to the upstairs bathroom before the tears came. Leaning against the sink, I caught my reflection in the mirror. Pale, shocked, betrayed. My hand brushed against something as I reached for a tissue. A small box had fallen from the medicine cabinet, spilling its contents across the counter. Now, girls. We slipped out through the kitchen just as Mom opened the front door. Nolan's voice drifted through the house. Andrea, I'm so sorry to bother you, but I'm looking for Alexis. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. We crouched behind Mom's garden shed, listening. She's not here, Nolan. Mom's voice was ice cold. And if she was, I wouldn't tell you. Andrea, please, you know me. I love your daughter. Which one? Silence. That's what I thought. Mom's voice grew stronger. I've called my lawyer. He's reviewing everything. The forged documents, the fake accounts, all of it. Leave my family alone, or the FBI won't be your only problem. The shed door creaked open behind us. We spun around to find Theo. Jesus, I hissed. What are you doing here? Manuel called, said Nolan was making the rounds. I figured you'd come here. He peeked around the corner. Nice speech from your mom. We need to get somewhere safe, Alexis said. He's not going to stop. My place, Theo offered. He doesn't know where I live. We heard the front door slam, followed by a car engine starting. Girls, Mom called softly. Coast is clear. Back in the kitchen, Mom was already on the phone. Yes, Detective Roberts. He was just here. Yes, I understand the restraining order won't be processed until Monday. Alexis grabbed my arm suddenly. The wedding venue. What? I never canceled it. The deposit, the guest list, everything's still set for next Saturday. Her eyes were wide. He's been calling all morning about keeping the date. Why would he care about the venue now? Theo asked. The answer hit me like a truck. The investors. He invited all of Vertex's biggest investors to the wedding. It's his last chance to collect money before everything falls apart. Mom hung up the phone. The detective says they're building their case, but it could take weeks. We don't have weeks, Alexis said. We have 7 days. Theo pulled out his laptop. Manuel sent over everything he has on the wedding guests. Look, half of them are high net worth individuals connected to Vertex. He's going to take their money and run, I realized. The wedding was never going to happen. It was just a cover for one final investment meeting. Then we use it against him, Alexis said firmly. Keep the venue. Let him think it's still happening. Alexis, no, Mom started. Yes. She stood straighter, looking more like herself than she had in months. He used me to get to this family. Let me help take him down. My phone buzzed. Amanda. FBI moving too slow. Nolan planning something big at wedding. Need your help. I showed them the message. It's dangerous, Theo warned. So is letting him do this to another family, Alexis countered. She turned to me. I know I have no right to ask for your help after everything. Stop. I grabbed her hand. You're my sister. We're doing this together. Mom sighed heavily. Your father is going to kill me for this, but... She pulled out her phone. I'm calling in a favor from Uncle Jack at the security firm. Theo was already typing. I'll contact Manuel, get everything set up. One condition, I said to Alexis. No more secrets between us. Ever. She nodded, tears in her eyes. Never again. We spent the next hour planning, turning the wedding venue into a trap. As we worked, I realized something. Revenge hadn't brought me peace, but working with my sister to expose the truth? That felt like justice. The wedding was still on, but this time, we were writing the ending. The Grand Plaza Hotel's ballroom sparkled with wedding decorations, each crystalline flower hiding a carefully placed camera or microphone. I adjusted my earpiece, disguised as a pearl earring, and smoothed down my bridesmaid's dress. Testing, testing! Theo's voice crackled in my ear. Everyone online? Copy! Manuel responded from his position at the bar, posing as a server. Ready? Came Amanda's voice. She sat with the other guests, wearing a wire beneath her designer dress. Security team in position, Uncle Jack confirmed. FBI standing by, Detective Roberts added. I watched Alexis pace in the bridal suite, still in her wedding dress. You don't have to go through with this, I told her. Yes, I do. She checked her makeup one last time. Did you see how many people are out there? All those potential investors, their life savings at risk. We have to stop him. Among the scattered items was a folded piece of paper. I recognized Nolan's handwriting immediately. Transfer complete. AM confirmed receipt. Everything's set for phase 2. Just keep playing your part. The note was dated 3 months before our divorce. A knock at the door made me jump. Peyton? It was Mom. Are you okay, sweetie? I quickly pocketed the note. Fine, I called back, splashing cold water on my face. Just needed a minute. Heads up, Theo cut in. Nolan just arrived. He's gathering investors in the hotel's conference room. That's not part of the plan, I said. The evidence handoff was supposed to happen during the ceremony. Change of plans. Amanda's voice was tense. He's spooked. Wants to collect the money before the wedding starts. Alexis grabbed my hand. We need to move now. No, I squeezed her hand back. Let me handle this. You've done enough. Peyton, trust me, please. She nodded slowly. I slipped out of the bridal suite and made my way to the conference room, my heels silent on the plush carpet. Through the partially open door, I could hear Nolan's smooth sales pitch. Guaranteed returns of 20% annually, but this exclusive opportunity closes today. I pushed the door open. 30 pairs of eyes turned to me. Sorry I'm late, I said brightly. Did I miss the part where you explain how you're using my sister's wedding as a front for investment fraud? Nolan's smile never wavered. Peyton, always the dramatic one. Everyone, my ex-wife seems to be having trouble letting go. Actually, I pulled out my phone. I'm having trouble understanding these bank statements. You know, the ones showing how you emptied joint accounts? Or these documents with my father's forged signature? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. She's obviously disturbed, Nolan said smoothly. Security? Oh, you mean Uncle Jack's team? I smiled. They're with us, along with the FBI agents posing as wedding guests. The door opened again. Amanda walked in, followed by Detective Roberts and 2 other agents. It's over, Nolan, Amanda said. They have everything. The offshore accounts, the forged documents, testimonies from your previous victims. Previous victims? A well-dressed woman stood up. What previous victims? Show them. I nodded to Theo, who had slipped in behind me. He projected documents onto the conference room wall. Bank records, court files, photos. Evidence of Nolan's past marriages, divorces, and frauds. This is ridiculous. Nolan moved toward the door, but Uncle Jack's security team blocked his path. The money, an elderly man demanded. The investments we made today, where is it? Already traced, Detective Roberts said. Being transferred to accounts in the Caymans as we speak. Or it would be, if we hadn't frozen everything an hour ago. Nolan lunged for the other door, but Manuel was there, tackling him smoothly to the ground. Nice move, I commented. Former linebacker, Manuel grunted, keeping Nolan pinned. The ballroom doors burst open. Alexis stood there in her wedding dress, looking like an avenging angel. You forgot something, she said, walking toward Nolan. She pulled out a small recorder. Your confession from last night. Nolan's face went white. What confession? She pressed play. His voice filled the room. Of course I don't love her. She's just a means to an end, like her sister was. Once I have their father's money. The recording continued, detailing every aspect of his scheme. I watched the last of his composure crumble as Detective Roberts read him his rights. The ring, Alexis said coldly, pulling it off her finger. I believe this belongs to the FBI now. Evidence of funds obtained through fraud. As agents led Nolan away, the investors crowded around Detective Roberts, demanding answers about their money. Amanda began explaining the recovery process. Well, Theo appeared beside me. That was more exciting than your average wedding. Speaking of which, I looked at Alexis. What do you want to do about all this? I gestured at the decorated ballroom. She looked around at the flowers, the ribbons, the waiting chairs. Then she smiled. A real, genuine smile I hadn't seen in months. Let's have a party, she said. Not a wedding. A celebration of justice and family. I'll alert the DJ, Theo grinned. As guests began filtering in from the conference room, Mom and Dad appeared, hugging us both. My girls, Mom whispered. My brave, brilliant girls. The truth had finally set us all free. I still can't believe you turned your failed wedding into a justice-served party, Theo said, helping me hang the last of the fairy lights in Mom's backyard. The summer evening was perfect for our family's first proper gathering since Nolan's arrest. When I returned to the dining room, Alexis was showing Mom her Pinterest wedding boards on her phone. Nolan watched me carefully as I sat down. So, I said, forcing a smile that felt like broken glass, how long has this been going on? We reconnected at Christmas, Alexis said quickly. Too quickly. It just happened. Oh, better than letting all that food and champagne go to waste. Alexis called from the patio, where she was arranging platters. She'd traded her wedding dress for jeans and looked more like herself than she had in months. My phone buzzed. A text from Detective Roberts. Nolan took the plea deal. 15 years. No parole for 10. Thought you'd want to know. I showed the message to Alexis. Good, she said firmly. The restitution hearings start next week, right? Amanda's testifying first, I confirmed. She's helping track down his other victims. Mom emerged from the house carrying her famous lasagna. Less talk about him, more help with these dishes. The backyard slowly filled with people who'd supported us through everything. Manuel chatting with Uncle Jack about security techniques, Amanda showing Dad photos of her new private investigation firm, friends and family who'd chosen sides and stuck by us. Package for Peyton? A delivery woman appeared at the gate. I signed for the small box, opening it to find a single key and a note. For the sister who never gave up. Love, A. Inside was the key to Amanda's office. She'd offered me a job as her partner. Take it, Alexis said, reading over my shoulder. You're good at this, uncovering the truth, helping people. What about you? I asked. Have you decided about the job offer? She grinned. Started Monday. Turns out financial fraud investigation units love hiring people with first-hand experience of investment scams. My daughters, the crime-fighting duo. Mom sighed, but she was smiling. Just promise me no more undercover operations at family events. No promises, we said in unison, then laughed. Really laughed, like we used to before everything went wrong. Theo clinked his glass. If I could have everyone's attention, I'd like to propose a toast. Everyone gathered around as he continued. To the strongest family I know, to truth that comes to light, to sisters who have each other's backs, and to justice that's better than revenge. To justice, everyone echoed. And to new beginnings, Amanda added, raising her glass. The FBI task force wants our help on another case, something about a series of wedding planner scams. Already on it, Manuel called out, waving his laptop. Got some interesting leads. See? Theo nudged me. The universe has a sense of humor after all. Dad cleared his throat. While we're making announcements, your mother and I have decided to start a foundation for victims of financial fraud. We're calling it Truth Funds. Really? Alexis's eyes widened. Really? Mom confirmed. And we'd like you both to help run it. If you're interested. I looked at Alexis, seeing in her eyes the same mix of emotions I felt. Gratitude for where we'd ended up, relief at having our family whole again, excitement for what came next. One condition, I said. We do it together. No more secrets, no more competition. Deal! Alexis hugged me tight. Partners? Partners! The party continued into the night, fairy lights twinkling like stars. I found myself by the old tree swing, watching everyone mingle and laugh. Penny, for your thoughts? Theo joined me, offering a glass of champagne. Just thinking about that note I found in Mom's bathroom, how something so small led to all of this. Sometimes the smallest truths unlock the biggest lies, he said. Speaking of which, he pulled out an envelope. Manuel found these today. Thought you should see them. Inside were photos of Nolan with another woman, dated before he'd even met me. There's always another secret with him, isn't there? I sighed. But the photos didn't hurt anymore. They just felt like confirmation that we'd done the right thing. Peyton, Alexis, Amanda called. Come see what we found. We joined the group gathered around Manuel's laptop, where a familiar pattern of transactions was emerging on the screen. Look familiar? He asked. Very. Alexis leaned closer. Same setup as Vertex? Similar, Amanda nodded. Different players, same game. I felt that familiar spark of determination. Well then, what are we waiting for? Hold up, Mom interrupted. First dessert, then you can save the world. As we gathered around the table, passing plates of Mom's tiramisu, I realized something. Sometimes the happy ending isn't about getting everything you thought you wanted. Sometimes it's about discovering what you were meant to do all along. Christmas, when I was in Chicago for work. When Nolan was supposedly in Seattle on business. When Alexis told me she was too busy to meet up for our traditional sisters' holiday lunch. Sometimes the heart wants what it wants, Nolan added softly, and I wanted to scream at the audacity. Instead, I took a sip of wine and said, well, I hope you're both very happy. And sometimes it's about finding out that your sister isn't just your sister. She's your best ally in the fight for truth. Ready for our next adventure? Alexis whispered. I squeezed her hand. Always.